Have you ever wondered why some places stay with you? And not because they were dramatic or tough, but just because you encountered them once, and somehow they remained. Today's walk begins here, beneath the trees of Cummacatta Wood in Bowder. I don't remember exactly which trail, but a long time ago I wandered somewhere near here with my parents and cemented one of my first memories of the Lake District. Initially the path climbed steadily through the old mixed temperate woodland before kicking up steeply. It has damp north-facing slopes and moss-covered boulders. It has fast-running becks and stone steps worn by thousands of boots. And it's easy to imagine this landscape as timeless. But the truth is, it very nearly wasn't. Up until the earliest years of the 20th century, much, if not most, of the Lake District was privately owned. And the idea that landscapes like this should belong to everyone, well, yeah. But then in 1902 something remarkable happened. Across Derwentwater, the wooded shoreline of Brandelhow Park came up for sale. A public appeal was launched and people from across the country contributed what they could. Some gave pounds and others pennies. Even factory workers sent in donations. Together they raised £6,500, bought the land, and the National Trust gave it to the nation. A very early example of crowdfunding, I guess. Wind forward a few years and the slopes of Grange Fell, including King's How, were purchased in 1910. Another gift, a place where anyone could come and simply walk. You can see Brandelhow Park across Derwentwater. Two quiet hillsides, both protected more than a century ago by the people, for the people. But saving the landscape was only the beginning of the story for Lakeland. Knowing how to explore it came later. These paths were little more than local knowledge. And then in the 1950s, a quiet civil servant from Blackburn began writing something quite extraordinary. Alfred Wainwright produced his hand-drawn maps and his carefully described routes, and suddenly that meant the Lake District was accessible to everyone. The Wainwright summit of Grange Fell isn't the highest point here. He knew that walking the fells isn't just about summits. It was about the journey between them, and of course, the vistas. But now our path turns downward, back into the quiet shade of Frith Wood. So the landscape has been preserved, it has been mapped and explored, and yet there are still things here that make you say, wow. Hidden among the trees, something unexpected. The Bowder Stone.
When I was a lad, you could put somebody on this side and somebody on that side, and you could reach underneath and shake hands. Can't now, you filled it in. But you could. What do you think that felt like? Laying on your stomach. Yeah.
A timeless 2,000-ton boulder. It was here long before hikers, long before the National Trust, and long before guidebooks. More than 50 years ago, I stood here as a child, looking up at this rock. It seemed impossibly large then, and it still does. So we'll take our leave, and I'll see you next time on the Fells.